what are the inner traumas or what are the inner child issues that you see yourself healing through the journey of parenthood?
Every time I watch my family, it's already healing to me because it's something I didn't have growing up. We didn't have we did for quite some time. My mom married, so we had like a family for quite some time, but it was a very chaotic setting between my mom and my stepdad. So it wasn't really ideal because we really saw how unhappy my mom was. The house was very, I don't know, ups and downs. You know, it wasn't as pretty as how you want it to be. But every time I look at my family, it's already healing to me because my husband and I have a very good communication setup. We're very good together as partners and as parents. And when I see my kids happy and being able to give them the life that I always wanted to have, or all the things I didn't have, I want to give to them. And when I see that I have given that, and I see the happiness in their eyes, I feel like I'm healed.
Hello, amigas! Welcome to our favorite hangout place, Kenneth Cobonpue BGC Showroom, the home of Amigas podcast this season 2 for another real, sensitive, and emotional discussion. There's a quiet moment that happens to many of us when we become parents. A moment when we look at our children and suddenly we are not just raising them, we are also confronting the child we once were. The little girl who needed more patience, the little boy who wished someone had listened, the child who sometimes felt unseen, unheard, or simply wanted a little more love. Parenthood has a way of bringing all of that back, and for many of us, the truth is, we didn't grow up with perfect examples. Some of us grew up with absence, some with silence, some with love, but not the kind that knew how to say, "I'm sorry." Some with wounds that we are still learning how to name. But here is the beautiful part. Our past may shape us, but it does not have to define the kind of parent that we become. Because every single day, in the small choices we make, the patience we practice, the apologies we offer, the hugs we don't withhold, the listening we give, we are rewriting the story. We are becoming the parent we needed. And that is one of the most powerful things a person can do. So today, we're talking about something deeply personal and incredibly important. How we can choose to be better than our past. Not perfect, but intentional. Because parenting isn't about getting everything right. It's about having the courage to grow. Because sometimes the greatest parents are not the ones who had perfect examples. They are the ones who decided the story would be different. And if that resonates with you as much as it does with me, this conversation is for you, amiga. So welcome to Amigas Podcast. And for this very special conversation, we're thrilled to welcome an amiga I just had the pleasure to meet. Yes, I know her sister and I'm very familiar with her work and I immediately became a fan. Unlike other family members, she's making a name for herself by inspiring others through her online platform and the way she shares her opinions and thoughts. Her vulnerability and broad-mindedness shine on her Bear It All podcast. She is a mother of two and the CEO of Wellness Whispers. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Dani Barreto. Dani, welcome to Amigas Podcast.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you
so
for
much.
accepting.
Of course.
And thank you for meeting you.
I know.
Finally, I've been watching your podcast and I love
so
them.
much.
I really love how sincere you are, you know, how much inputs you have. And the fact that you can do most of it like on your own.
Yes,
It takes a lot, huh? It's not easy.
It's a lot of work, but I think if it's your purpose, it comes naturally to you.
Yeah, I believe that's so. So then you basically like, we all come from being kids and become teenagers and you grow up.
Yeah.
And each person's trajectory, it's different,
Yes.
right? I was actually just talking to my daughter the other day and she was writing a song. And it was a song about the little girl with the perfect happiness that she missed. And I was teared-eyed because that resonates so much with me in the sense that, wow, I was able to make her feel that way. But that's not my life story. I was very happy growing up. But there is a lot of things that shaped me to be the person that I am right now.
Yes.
And I know that a lot of people out there might resonate with that because not every child's childhood is perfect.
Yes. And well,
Right?
that I can relate to that 100% because I also grew up from a broken home, but it doesn't. We had this topic actually on my podcast. It doesn't matter if you were born in a burning house. We call it a burning house. What matters is what comes out of it. So it doesn't
Yes.
mean that if your childhood was like a burning house, the rest of your life have to burn with it. So I said this on the podcast and it resonated with a lot of people because it's very common to grow up in homes that, not as happy as we imagine it to be or what we watch in the movies.
Fairy tales,
yeah,
right?
it's like it's really not like fairy tales and butterflies 99.9% of the time. But I think it's what you do with it, how you learn from it. And it became my inspiration to when I told myself, okay, this is how I want to be when I become a mom and when I become a wife. And it really changed a lot about my perspective because growing up, since I was surrounded by women, broken families, failed marriages,
Yeah.
I really don't want to get married. I had a notion that all marriages might end up like that.
You know what? My daughter just told me that like a few weeks ago. She said, Mommy, you know what? I don't think I want to get married. And I'm like, it broke my heart. And I tried to
Yes.
explain to her, baby, it doesn't mean just because mommy's marriage didn't work the first time, that yours is also not going to work. And she was like,
Yes.
but how can I avoid that? And I told her, well, mommy's here beside you. I'll make sure of it.
Yeah, I love that.
And then she was like, oh, okay. I said, you know what, baby? It's just that we need to be less naive and be more attentive to the red flags.
Yes.
Right? And then make sure that we actually know the background of the person that we're getting involved
Yeah.
with. It doesn't mean that they're going to give you 100% assurance that it will work, but at least you know who you're getting, like what you're getting into.
Yes.
And you also know if you're willing to do the work to make it work.
Yeah. I think marriage takes a lot of compromise,
Yeah.
back and forth, and dealing with things that you never thought you have to deal with. But I think I'm just very grateful that I actually married a man that clipped my wings. He gave me the life I always prayed for.
That's amazing, Rani.
He's a great father to my kids. He's very supportive to me. And I always felt like all the fears I had when it comes to marriage, he took it away. So then I have high hopes that, like, there's still good men there.
Oh, amazing. That gives me hope. But how do you think, like, having that childhood that was not perfect helped to shape you as a parent?
I'm very grateful to have a mother that's very strong. She really focused on her kids. Even if she was going through a lot of really bad things, she always chose to conceal them and not show us what she was going through. We only just realized growing up that, it seems to us that she's not okay, or how come her demeanor is different. That's the
Okay.
only time we kind of just realized that something was not good, wasn't happening in the background.
That's one mistake that I see a lot of parents, when there is like adult problem going on, they say, no, oh no, you don't belong here to the kids. Not
Yes.
realizing that they're actually a part. And they absorb a lot and they
Yes.
actually notice every detail, especially when it comes to
Yes.
moms. Because
Exactly.
kids are so attached to the mom.
Yes.
And usually when you're a good mom, what happens is you're in tune with your kids and they can feel everything that you
Yes.
feel. And I do remember, like just recently also, my daughter told me, which is kind of sad, but eye-opening. She said, wow, mommy, I never realized that you're not that happy. Now I see how truly happiness looks like on you.
Wow.
And she's so happy
That's
that I'm in
powerful.
that place, right? So
Yes.
did you feel that as well as a child growing up, that you
Yeah.
can feel your mom's emotions and absorb it?
Yes, no, we really did. But we also saw a lot of things growing up, like all the shouting, the yelling, and the fighting. We kind of put two and two together that that was happening. And my mom was very unhappy. We would always catch her crying, or her mood will always change. Like, we already saw that there was a problem. But I'm very grateful, though, to her because after they separated, she became honest with us. And she told us everything, like what was going on. And from that point on, we understood, okay, this is why our childhood is like this. This is why she was like this. And we understood her. And because of that, our relationship got deeper. She really made it a point that all of us siblings are intact and close.
That's amazing.
She put us all in one room. So we grew up, even if I'm the eldest, so me and Julia are 4 years apart. Even if down to my brother Leon, we would all stay in one room. So we always had each other. No matter how bad everything was going on outside that door, all of us are together in one room.
So you had each other's back.
We had each other's back.
That's
And
amazing.
because of that upbringing that she showed us and she brought to our family, me and my siblings are each other's best friends. We talk to each other every day. When there's a crisis, the first person that we would always think of is, okay, call Julia, call Claudia, everybody meet in this house. Like, it became a thing in our family that when there's a crisis, we have to regroup. Yes. And I think that's the most beautiful thing my mom has ever given us.
Amazing, Danny. When you became a parent, right? Because of course, there is a tendency that sometimes we do carry some of the trauma through life without even realizing it. Sometimes it just shows up one day because you go through something that it's kind of a deja vu. So when you became a parent, have you ever caught yourself actually repeating mistakes or going through the things you went through as a child, as a teenager, that help you to identify and to not repeat them? How did you actually were able to put that all together?
Actually, I really have bad abandonment issues. So I was always fear that I have to people please or to mold into my partners so that they won't leave me, because I feel that if I don't conform to what they want or who they want me to be, they might leave. And I have this thing that ayoko na, parang ang dami nang umiwan sa akin, or the person that shouldn't have left me. So in my mind, it's like I have to do what's right or always follow what they want. And that really didn't do me any good because it made me a very angry teenager. I was drawn to toxic relationships because I feel like that's what love is supposed to be. I really didn't know I struggled with that word. I felt so loved by my mother, but I lacked the love of a father kasi. I have memories of him. I have beautiful memories with him, but not strong enough for me to have that foundation to be, to know what it feels like, truly. So when I was always drawn to toxic relationships, I really realized that, wow, this people pleasing ate a lot of my life, like years of my life. I was so unhappy. I would cry every day. I was a very angry teenager. I was a rebellious daughter. I was a prodigal daughter, always left home. When things weren't good, it wasn't going my way, I'll leave home. And I never liked it. I didn't understand why I was staying in relationships like that. But then I realized when I got older, it's because I really have bad abandonment issues. So I always felt like I need to do this because if not, he's gonna go away. This man, my husband, saw the worst parts of myself when I met him. He loved me then for the mess that I was. And when I put my life together, he loved me more. So I always felt like, okay, so I don't need the people please. I just need someone to love me for who I am, to love me for the mistakes I have done, and to love me even if I make more mistakes. So I was just very grateful to have met him at the right time in my life. But I promised myself that I would only get married if I feel like the man that I'm going to marry will never abandon my kids.
Oh, wow.
I knew from the moment that he wouldn't, because when I told him I was pregnant, his eyes lit up. And he was the most excited. And at that time, we were so young. I was 24. He was just turning 25. And at that time, it was like, we were just partying, having fun. Kids and marriage were not in the cards. So when we found out and I saw the happiness in his eyes, I was like, oh,
this is it.
This is it. I think this is it. This is him. And after that, I was like, oh, then marriage is not that scary after all. And when I see him with our kids, I always feel like, okay, this abandonment issues, I don't have to worry about it anymore with my kids. But there are some things that I feel when things are not going right, I go back to my angry self. And I always feel like, Danny, no, this is not who you are anymore. Like, stop overthinking everything. Stop being so paranoid. He won't leave. He won't do this. He won't do that. Like, I still find myself thinking of it and alienating myself into thinking, no, this is too good to be true. Something might happen.
Oh my gosh.
I hate that I'm like that, but I'm learning. I'm learning.
But you're not the only one there in that boat. I think everybody, including myself, that went through those kind of traumas, because I also grew up with a very strong mother. And then my dad was not much around. He was the dad of the vacation. I would see him once a year during June for 3 weeks, and that's it. And then, so I also felt that somehow I was drawn to some toxic relationships because of
there's no male figure.
Yeah, like normalize it's okay if I give my all, but they're not all in for me, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of create a pattern of familiarity that shouldn't be there.
Yes.
And as you grow through life and you start to work on your thought process and trying to change your mindset, that's when magic happens.
Yes.
And I think, becoming a parent, somehow we find ourselves in an everyday basis with the small things, the big thing that happens, dealing with our kids is really trying to work out our own issues and our own traumas and healing it through them.
So sometimes that we really have to go through it, right? Like, sad as it sounds, you really have to go through some things to realize that this is not what you deserve.
Have you ever caught yourself blaming the past for your mistakes in being a parent?
Well, as an angry teenager, I blamed everybody except myself. I felt like I'm like this because they did this to me, or because somebody left me, or, but I realized growing up, I could change that. It's always up to me. My mom would always say, life is what you make it. So I always felt like that's my choice. I have a choice to change my life, and I have a choice to not feel this way and to make my life better. And just to prove that, I can grow up. Even if I don't have that male figure growing up, I could still be the person that I am, or person that I want to be. And that's exactly what I turned out to be. I have an amazing mother, and I always felt like she's the only one I needed. My mom had to take a lot of shit from all of us. Like, imagine having 5 different personalities that you have to deal with on a daily basis, but she did so well, and she still does so well. So I feel like all my wisdom also comes from her.
How did you find yourself breaking the pattern of, like you said, do you have any practical tip or something trick that you do, when you're too angry and see yourself going back to that anger teenager, or suddenly you give the silent treatment? How do you break it when it comes to your kids?
I always pray, a lot of prayers. Or when I feel like I'm super angry, I go to the bathroom, I look at myself in the mirror, and then I tell myself, Danny, it's not their fault. This is you talking. This is your anger talking. I try to calm myself down before. So when I leave the bathroom, I know how to deal with it. I have a lot of alone time. I reflect a lot. My daughter kasi is very different. My daughter was diagnosed with mild autism. So she's not like the normal kids. So you really need a lot of patience and a lot of understanding for her situation. She humbled me. She really made me she made me a better mom, because she's my first kid. So she, imagine you're 25 and then you have to deal with all of these things that nobody has ever told you how to do it. She had to go to a developmental pediatrician. She's still doing therapy. These are the things that we were just thrown into the wild that figure it out, And Javi and I, my husband, we grew up because of that. Because we had to show up for her. We had to be her voice, because my daughter has speech disorder. So whatever she can't say, we have to be alert and be aware that this is what she needs. We couldn't be in denial. We couldn't be angry. We had no time to do that, because if we chose to be angry and in denial about it, our daughter is not gonna be a happy kid.
Yes.
She's gonna grow up she's gonna have a hard life. And I don't want that for her. And I really told myself that this isn't the time to play around or to have paranoias or to be in denial, or all my trauma triggers kind of die down, because she needs me.
If you put in a practical sentence or like you can basically enumerate them. What are the things that growing up you didn't see that now you make sure are there for your child as they grow up?
Oh, one, being present. I only had one present parent till this day. So I always told myself that I will always shop for my kids no matter what. No, I always alter my schedule to whatever my kids needs. If there's a school program, I don't care if you don't want me there, I will be there.
You'll be
Like gymnastics, I will be there. And even when I don't, my husband will be there. Like there at least one of us has to show up, or the two of us. And when I become so busy, I always say, no, I'm gonna allot a time that I'll go on a vacation, my undivided attention. And I always told myself also that I hated screaming triggers me a lot because I grew up in a household before that my mom had to deal with a very screaming
With a
husband all
screamer.
that stuff, with a screamer. And then I had an ex-boyfriend that was sort of like that as well. So screaming really triggers me. And every single time, I all told myself, like, I have to watch myself because I tend to be, you know, when you're so used to screaming, you become so, para kang, you combat the same way.
course, yes.
Because you feel like, oh, this is how you treat someone that's a screamer. You have to scream back.
Yes.
Because if not, you'll be overpowered.
Yeah, that's like a defense mechanism, right? You're like, okay, no, I'm gonna win this battle. Oh, you scream, I can scream too.
Exactly.
I can scream louder. You know?
So it came to a point that I was like, this isn't also healthy for me because it takes a lot of energy.
Of course.
Imagine having to have a scream fest and then all your emotions are out there.
Yes.
And then you feel so drained.
Yes.
And then you feel like, hold on, I'm not this person. So I really told myself, like, when I'm angry, when something is not going well for me or nothing is in my favor, I need to remind myself that this is not who you are. You're not a screamer anymore. You're calm. Because I don't want my kids to grow up in that environment.
You know, actually, it can traumatize kids a lot. And I remember, like, I'm very aware that my daughter hates when people raise their voices. And of course, that's a trauma coming from somewhere, right? And I do remember me as well, because I remember very vividly, my parents, they separated when I was 5. And my last memory of my mom is my dad's, them fighting. And my dad is screaming. I don't know if my mom pushed him or he tried to punch her. I don't know what happened, but there is a window that was broken.
Wow.
And that was traumatized for me.
Yes.
You know, and I still remember that very vividly. So when I see people fighting, when I see screams, even up to recently, that would also trigger a lot of emotions. And I came from the point where I was quiet, and then I started to scream back, and then I went back to be quiet, and then I'm like, oh my God, this is so much energy that's being wasted, and this is not me. Those trigger points are very dangerous, and it's very good for you to be aware because you don't want your kids to experience that. And that's the whole purpose of really changing the narrative.
Yes,
like
and we already know that it could lead to them being drawn to toxic relationships.
Exactly.
We don't want
that happen to them.
We don't want that for them. Yeah.
There is a lot of parents that sometimes get also triggered by the kids' emotions.
Yes.
Do you feel that when you have trauma from the past, that can be something that also can trigger your own traumas?
I think I have very selective memory when it comes to my traumas. I choose to keep them suppressed because I don't want them destroying the life that I have now. I do have my moments where as much as you don't want it to trigger you, it still triggers you. So every single time that I have this thing when I was growing up that I do not want to burden people with problems. So I was very quiet. I don't share much about my life. And it became a very depressing trait because I felt like I was alone even if I wasn't. And there were a lot of people who wanted to help me, but I just wanted to suppress everything inside. And it didn't really do me any good. When I had a kid, I told myself that I don't want her to ever feel that she needs to suppress emotions because she feels like she's a burden. I don't ever want her to feel that because I know how that feels. It wasn't an amazing feeling. I wanted to get out. I was blaming everybody, but no one was isolating me. I just feel like my mom was already dealing with a lot of things that time. I didn't want to add to it. I feel like she didn't deserve more problems because I already saw how bad shit was happening to her at
But
that time.
Dani, that's actually a pattern. Because I
It's-
experienced the same thing. I think it's like when you have a parent, like especially your mom, so strong, and you know that she's dealing with so much, you don't wanna add more to the table. And then you somehow like you see yourself maturing at certain young age and taking all that burden to yourself
Yeah.
and kind of isolate yourself so that somebody else problem.
Yes.
You know,
it became
that
a pattern.
happens, a pattern to a lot of people.
It's a
lot of
pattern I want to
people.
break because I don't want my kid to be like that because then she will isolate me too. Because it came to a point that I really isolated myself from my family and it hurt them so much because they wanted to help me. They wanted to be there for me. I was the one doing this to myself and I didn't want to make them feel that way, but I was dealing with many things that only I can figure out. And I really told myself that I don't want my daughter or my son to ever feel that they can't come to me. And I don't ever want them to feel that, coming from a household na, I don't want them to see me so problematic and, and screaming and sad to a point I don't want to talk to mom because I'm just going to add to her stress. I don't ever want. I think I would be I feel like a failure if that happens. I really hope it never happens. Oh my gosh.
I think, the awareness of knowing what can happen
Yeah.
when that pattern is, repeated. I think it helps us to become a better version of even our parents when they're
Agree.
parenting us. Sometimes, no matter how perfect as a parent I try to be, or the best of my efforts, that I still commit mistakes.
Of course.
How do you deal with that? Like knowing that you're human, and sometimes even though that you don't want to be the screamer, but you suddenly let the scream
Oh
come
my God.
out.
It happens to me. I say sorry. It's important to say sorry because that's one of the things I never got. Growing up, I never got a sorry. If for anything, I was always gaslit when I wanted an apology. And I was always made to feel that I didn't deserve a sorry, that it was always my fault. And that stayed with me till this day. It stays with me till this day. It still triggers a lot of angry points in my heart because I feel like I know what I felt. I know what I feel. And I know I deserve an apology. So every time I scream or I unintentionally, it's just out, you're in the moment, napasigaw ako, I always say sorry. I explain. So sorry, I did not mean to yell. And I really try my best to make her understand, to make my daughter understand that it's not her fault. It's out of
Emotion,
it's,
and like
it's out
heat
of
the moment.
emotions. It's never gonna happen again. And if it does, I always tell my husband, we need to be the parents that know how to say sorry.
Yes.
We don't want our kids to ever feel that asking for it is such a hard for them to ask for an apology. I never even ask for an apology. I just feel like I deserve one. You shouldn't ask for it. Apologies, sorries, it has to come from the heart.
Of course.
I feel like when it's not given to you, that's when you feel like, oh, why don't I deserve it? Why don't I deserve a sorry? And then they'll make you believe or make you see that, oh, because I didn't do you wrong. I didn't do anything to you. You're the one that's like this. It's like, but I know what I feel.
Yes. I think there is a huge mistake, like generally, I think maybe because of this toxic culture,
Yeah.
Of parenting from way back.
Yeah.
Where as a parent, you're a figure of authority and you're never wrong.
Yes.
Right?
I'm always
and
right.
then you bring that
Mhm.
to your kids. It's like, no. I'm never wrong. I will never say sorry because I'm above you.
Yeah.
You're just a kid.
Yeah.
And I think that the good thing that I notice with nowadays is that there is so much awareness about mental health. And also, I think parents, like the young parents, like the parents of this generation, they're more aware of,
Yeah.
feelings, and that people are entitled to have their
Yes.
feelings, because there is no such thing as, oh no, this is a wrong feeling, this is a right feeling. No, a feeling is always a feeling. And needs to be validated no matter what.
Oh, 100%.
And I think like being a parent, you need to be very sensitive to that.
Yes.
That even if your kid's at fault, in the end of the day, it doesn't matter if
Yeah.
he's right or wrong, if you're right or wrong. What matters is the relationship and what you
Yes.
bring into
Yeah.
the table.
Yeah.
And validating how your child feels does strengthen the bond. When something happened, even if I was not at fault, or my brother was at fault, my dad had this thing about he needs to be always right. Even if he was wrong, he
Yeah.
was right.
Yeah.
And there is that authority about him that actually drove me away from him.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
kind of like, oh my gosh, I noticed even that time I said, that's not what I want like a husband to be to my kids,
Mm-hmm.
right? But we get to a point where, as we grow older, sometimes we forget and we go back to the familiarity, and you end up
Yeah.
with version of your dad. So I'm glad that that's not happened to you.
I know, but you know what? Just to add to what you say, I think the reason why we really adore our mom so much because she showed us her weakness.
Yes.
She showed us that side of her. Moms are allowed to crumble too. We're
Yes.
allowed to make mistakes. We're
Yes.
allowed to feel. We're allowed to. Sometimes we're not strong. We're allowed to cry. We're allowed to scream. We're allowed to get mad. And I think because my mom showed us that side of her, we became very sensitive kids too. That me as a mom is not afraid to show my kids that sometimes I make mistakes. Sometimes I'm going to be not strong enough.
Yes.
Sometimes I'm going to crumble and you're going to see it. But this is what we go through on a daily basis. I want you to become a woman that's strong, but also know when to
Help.
ask for help.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that people need to understand that kids do not expect parents to be perfect.
Yes.
You know, they expect the parents to be real.
Yeah.
And as parents, we need to show accountability,
Agree.
right? We need to
Agree.
be honest.
Yes.
And we need to make sure that the relationship is what matter, not be right.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's not about being right.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Because I think when you always push your, if you always say, I'm always right, I'm never wrong, I'm still your mom, I'm still your dad, it's like, that's not acknowledging or validating the feelings of your child. It's better if you just talk to them and say, like, okay, this is what I feel and this is what you feel.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to agree to disagree.
Exactly.
But proper communication is what's going to make every relationship work.
Yes. And I think emotional safety is the best.
Yes, if it's always one-sided, they'll never
Exactly.
talk to you again.
Of course.
You'll push them away. That's something I don't want with my kids. I want my kids to always run to me. Whatever it is, I want to always be there for them. I want to be in the know. I want to be the last to know.
You know, one of the things I learned from my mom, and I'm so grateful, is that my mom was a working mom.
Yeah.
She was the solo provider of the family. I have a brother, so it's the two of us. And then no matter how tired she was, she always showed up.
Oh.
You know, and that's a blessing to have. And I understand that a lot of amigas out there, a lot of people out there do not have, they're not as maybe lucky, you know, as I was. But it's still, you can choose to be the parent that you want to be. And learning from your own mistakes or other people's mistakes is very, like, it's a smart way of moving forward. In your case, if you can, like, sum it up, things that you've seen your mom, parent that was more there for you, that you bring with you as you go into this journey of being a parent, what would that be? Like top 5, you know, quality that say, wow, I want to model that exactly like that for my children.
One is being open, because my mom is very open to us. She always shared with us her struggles, whatever she was going through. Of course, when we were young, she couldn't explain much to us because we won't understand. But when we already reached a certain age that we would understand what she was going through, she became so open. And because of that, our relationship with our mom just grew deeper. We tell her everything. She's in the know. She's the first to find out when there's a crisis in our lives. And 2, resilience. Oh my God, my mother has been through so much with not just only the men in her life, but other people in her life who tried to tear her apart and destroy her peace, destroy her. For some reason, my mom always comes out stronger and she doesn't let anybody destroy her peace. She always says, as long as my kids know who I am, as long as I have my kids, I don't need all of this. Like, I think that's one thing I saw with her that I want to be. She's really a mama bear. She'll protect us through and through. And maybe 3, I want my kids to always think of me when there is a crisis. Call mom. I want that. I want to be their first thought, call mom. Not call a friend, not call a boyfriend, call a girlfriend. I want it to be call mom, because I'm already married, but when there's a crisis in my life, call mom. And I'm like 32. So I'm like, I feel like it's gonna be like that until the end of time. And maybe I want to follow my mom's, how she raised us, being close, having each other's backs. And in this life, a lot of people will really disappoint you. They'll come and go, but you guys you remain intact. You remain like a glue. So that's one of the many things I want to be for my children.
That's amazing. I think having such a strong role model, no, that you can draw energy and inspiration from,
Yeah.
does really help. But if you could put like, okay, being Dani, the mom right now,
Yeah.
no longer the daughter, and going through the journey that you've been gone up to now. How old are
Yeah.
your kids again, Dani?
I have a 6-year-old and 1 year and 4 months.
Oh wow, you have
Yes,
a baby.
I have a baby.
Oh
I
my
have a baby. Oh
gosh.
my.
Okay, if you could put in few words, being Dani, the mom, how does safe parenting actually looks like in a daily basis?
I think one is that I really don't appreciate when some parents try to exert whatever they want to exert just to be right. So when it comes to my kids, I really make sure that I hear them out. So if my daughter, if she doesn't feel comfortable with some certain things, because she's very sensitive, I pull her out right away.
Okay.
I don't ever want to bring her in places that she will feel sad, uncomfortable, or unsafe.
Yes.
And 2, proper communication. Always talk to your kids, ask them how they are, have that relationship with them. And maybe 3, no, apologize when you did something wrong. You shouted, you said something that was not nice, that hurt their feelings. Apologize. Because that will be a blueprint of how they're going to be when they're older. They're gonna know that it's important to apologize and
Yes.
to hear people out. Like, they're also not going to allow people to not apologize to them, because they're not gonna take bullshit from anyone.
Yes.
And I want to show her that even if I'm your mom, I know how to say sorry. I don't want her to be my pride, because being a prideful person is so sad. You're trying to prove a point in the process of hurting a lot of people, and I don't want her to be like that. And me, Dani, as a mom, I always want her to be kind but also wise, because sometimes kindness, people take advantage of kindness 99.9% of the time. But I want her to be wise. I want my son to be wise, and I want her to be good to women. Oh my gosh, I want her to respect women. I want to show her that, I want to show my son also that marry a woman that's going to take care of you, love you, but also take care of her, be gentle with her,
Yes.
be loyal to her. Like, want to be so many things to my kids. But you know what? We don't know yet, like... I'm still very young. My kids are still very young. So
And
I
it's
still like...
okay. It's okay. I think that one of the things that sometimes we need to be a little bit more kind to ourselves, being parents, say that it's okay to commit mistakes,
Yeah.
right? And learn from it. It's a journey that you never end. No matter how old your kids are, in the end of the day, they're still babies. Like, I still call my daughter baby up to now. And I think if she's 50, and I always joke with her, mommy gonna live until 120 years.
Yeah.
She's always
Aw.
gonna be my baby. And it's okay to commit mistakes.
Yes, but I feel like you and your daughter have a very open relationship.
Oh yeah, we're very communicative with each other.
She
Like,
tells you those things.
I know,
That's
she
beautiful.
really, I make sure that I talk to my daughter every day. And I did commit few mistakes along the way. But of course, we never had the intention of
Yeah.
hurting our kids, right?
Yes.
And when I'm aware that she hurt, from something I said or an attitude that I took, I immediately correct it.
Yeah.
And I immediately reach out to her and say, I'm sorry. Even if I was not at fault sometimes, even if I had the right to act the way I did. But in the end of the day, her emotional safety and knowing that she can always comes to me, it's more important than me being right. And that's what I take with me, with the relationship I had with my mom and the relationship that I want to build with my children.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful.
And then I wanted to ask you, Dani, because as we go into that journey, of course, it's really hard. There is a very thin line between discipline and repeating old patterns.
Yeah.
Being the mom, of course, and have these beautiful, young children, how do you balance that?
I feel like I'm just very fortunate enough that my husband and I have a balance of things. But this is how I actually knew my personality as a mom. I'm already a very protective ate to my siblings. But when I became a mom, it was a different case. Like,
Okay.
I'm a spoiler, but they're also scared. They're also scared of me. Like, I have
So you
this...
play bad cop and good cop.
Yeah.
I do the same.
Like, I have to be both, because I feel like if I'm just one,
Yes.
they're gonna go to their dad more and tell their dad everything. Not that that's a good thing, but I don't want to also be left
Be
out.
left out.
So I still have to be both. That's when I said kanina that when you're being a bad cop and you know that you feel like, oh, like I've said something wrong, I did something wrong, then maybe you should bring out the good cop also and apologize and do that. So I think that's a pattern, because with us, my mom had to be both the bad cop and the good cop. But mostly because my mom had to be strict with us, especially with me because I'm the eldest. She kind of put on her bad cop more than her good cop. Because I was a very, very problematic child. So I really understand, Mom, it's okay. But when she put out her good cop with me when I was a little bit older, I understood her clearly, like why she had to be that. Because now that I have a daughter, oh my God, it's so different when you have a daughter. You want to protect her from the world. You want to protect her from all these things that possibly could happen to a woman. You're more stricter when it comes to a girl. That's why I said if I want another kid, I need it to be a boy because I cannot have this problem looming over my head. But like, I just want to be a mom that's not overbearing. I want to still give her her personal space. I want her to still feel that she can fly and grow and not hold her back. Like, because I always felt like before I need to stay home because my mom's alone. She has nobody. So I need to alter the things that I want to do because I need to help my mom out. I never wanted to leave her, to be honest. But when I realized that I had to leave home because I also had to figure what I wanted to become, I know I hurt her a lot. But you know, my mom sat me down I think a few years back, and she really told me like, it's the best thing that ever happened to you because you figured it out. You became the woman that you are today. You figured it out. And she also realized that you have to let your kids fly, no matter how painful it is for them to leave the nest. And my mom is an empty nester now. So we just always make her feel included. So that's one of the things also that I want to be. I want to be that mom that has the willpower to let her kids fly. even if it's so hard.
I think it's all about conditioning your mindset. Because to tell you honestly, like, I don't know, maybe it's cultural also, Dani, but back home, I do remember we already somehow programmed that, you know, by 18, I'll have my own place, you know, I'll have my own life, and so on. And I understand that in the Filipino culture, by 30, the kids are still living with the parents. And it's kind of hard to let go. But I think it's part of growing up.
It is.
You know, and we need to understand that we are raising our kids for the world, and just equip them the best way that we can so that they can not only survive but they can thrive in this cruel world. And be happy. And I think coming from a background where you went through a lot of trauma, like I went through a lot of trauma, catch myself trying to somehow through the journey of parenthood to heal my inner child as well, you know, by giving to my child the things I did not have. And I don't know if I'm being selfish.
No, I
you
feel
know,
the same way.
And I did, for example, in my case, I stayed in a marriage for so long because I wanted my child to experience having a father that was present, that was part of the school events. And, you know, I think that that's a superpower of moms, sacrificing for their own children. But in your case, what are the inner traumas or what are the inner child issues that you see yourself healing through the journey of parenthood?
Every time I watch my family is already healing to me because it's something I didn't have growing up. We didn't have we did for quite some time. My mom married, so we had like a family for quite some time, but it was a very chaotic setting between my mom and my stepdad. So it wasn't really ideal because we really saw how unhappy my mom was. The house was very, I don't know, ups and downs. You know, it wasn't as pretty as how you want it to be. But every time I look at my family, it's already healing to me because my husband and I have a very good communication setup. We're very good together as partners and as parents. And when I see my kids happy and being able to give them the life that I always wanted to have, or all the things I didn't have, I want to give to them. And when I see that I have given that, and I see the happiness in their eyes, I feel like I'm healed in a way that, oh, you see, this could happen.
It's possible.
It's possible.
The
you
dream
can turn
is
your life
possible.
around.
Yes.
You can still have that life, but with your own. Not where you grew up with, but you can have it with your own family. The family that you build.
Okay, if there is like one cycle from your childhood that you consciously decide would end with you, what would that be?
Definitely abandonment issues. That's never gonna happen. My kids are never gonna have that.
Feel that
That's
way.
for sure. They're never gonna feel that. I think that's the number one thing that I have and still struggle with till this day. Not only with partners, but also in friendships. I really take friendship breakups to heart because I have those issues. So I told myself that my children are never gonna feel that from at least us, their parents. But if they do go through it with other people in their lives, such as a partner or a
Yeah.
friend, I will always be there to help guide them get through it. Because I
Amazing.
feel that I did so well naman growing up dealing with it. I do sometimes fall short with my emotions. It takes the best of me sometimes because my issues come from a love that I never really got to feel. So sometimes I grieve it.
Experience. Yeah.
Sometimes you grieve the love that you've never felt,
Yes.
or you grieve someone that you never had.
Yes.
It's not really grieving the man that you were with or a father that you grew up with, or sometimes you grieve the relationship you never had.
Yes. Yes.
I just don't want, I want to be able to help them process grief properly in whatever form.
Okay, so what is one thing that you're intentionally doing as a parent today that your younger self desperately needed?
I don't know how to answer that really. I knew I was loved because everybody in my family, not only from my mom, made me feel loved, even if, there was a missing piece. But I always felt loved growing up. But I feel that a while ago I shared that I always isolated myself because I didn't want to be a burden. So that's something I don't ever want to bring in to this little family that I have. I want them to be able to see that I came out of that. I became a better person. And I will never ever hide anything from my kids. I'll tell them everything I've been through and who I was before, so they know what kind of woman I became and the mom I tried to be for them. All these traumas that I have, I don't have to be embarrassed about it. It made me the person that I am today. It made me the mom that I am. So I will always share the things that I've learned to my kids and let them know that your traumas
Does
doesn't
not define you,
does not
right?
define you. It's just a phase that you went through, and of course you still go through it, but it doesn't have to. Even if I had this family, it doesn't necessarily mean that I have to have that kind of family.
Of course.
No, like
We can change.
we can
right?
change.
We can somehow redirect how things end, like your own end. I think that the issue, generally speaking, with parents in general from the old times, from these times, is that they want also to put that superwoman, superman cape, and then don't want to show vulnerability. I think vulnerability is a superpower,
Yes, it is.
especially when it comes to relationships with anybody that you
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
And the more with your kids, because your kids see you vulnerable and seeing that, oh my gosh, yeah, my mom is not perfect. She'll
She's
never be
human.
perfect. She's human, and she committed mistakes. She came on the other side, and now she's this amazing person, blossoming the
Yeah.
best way that she can. It gives them the assurance that it's okay to commit
Yes.
mistakes and they will be okay. And nobody gonna abandon them just because they're not perfect.
Amen. Amen. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh,
Amen.
Danny. So if you can say, like, as being a parent, can you say with confidence that that cycle of time ends with you?
Yes. I that's a conscious decision that I made for myself when I became a mom. The minute I became a mom, this is never gonna happen again. It ends with
Amen.
me, and my kid will never go through this because I don't wanna say that I know what's gonna happen in the future. But right now, as of this moment, I try my best to always probably still catch myself. But traumas, that ends with me.
Amen to that.
That ends with me. I'm gonna give my all if whatever I can give for them to have the best childhood. Something that I struggled with. Yes.
You're not the only one. We all go through
We
that.
all go
And
through
coming
that.
from the other side of somebody's story, I think that it's very empowering, to take the whole responsibility to yourself and say,
Yeah.
I can change this and I
Yes.
can be a better parent for
Yeah.
my kids. If you have words of advice to parents out there, to amigas out there, they're going through hard situations, and having a hard time to do the transition because it's very commonplace that sometimes we become what we most fear.
Yes.
But there is power in actually recognizing it and deciding that you won't be like them.
Yes.
So if you could give like words of advice, what would you say to a parent out there struggling?
There are some things that we just have to go through in life. It doesn't have to define you. It doesn't you don't have to copy a pattern or a cycle because you feel that, oh, that's what being a mom or being a dad is. If you see that it's a pattern that hurt you or destroyed your childhood or traumatized you, you have a choice to break that cycle and become a better parent, a better person. You don't have to follow a pattern just because you grew up in that pattern. It doesn't work that way. You still own your life. You own your decision. And as much as possible, if you are in a situation where you can make that change and you can give this little family of yours a better life and a better childhood, be that person for them. Be the person that you always wanted to have in your life.
Amen.
A support system, loved, heard, seen. These are the things that normally a lot of kids don't feel. So be the parent that always makes your kid feel loved, safe, heard, and seen. For me, those four are just the perfect ingredient into having the best relationship with your kids.
Amen. Thank you so much,
Thank you so
Dani.
much.
It's so uplifting and so nice to hear you coming from a place of, experiencing things.
Me too. I learned so much from you today.
That's amazing. I hope to have you again in this
Yes,
podcast.
anytime. You're such a strong woman. I love
Thank
you know
you.
what? It's so nice to talk to somebody also that kind of, it's like we trauma bonded in a way. I love it, but because I saw a different perspective of that trauma, and it's beautiful to see, and you're really beautiful and blooming and
Thank you.
thriving.
Likewise. And guys, please do invite everyone to watch your podcast.
Yes, please do follow the Veritol podcast. We're available on Spotify and YouTube.
Amazing.
Thank you so
Dani.
much.
Okay,
Yes.
amigas. So before we end today, I want to speak to every parent who is trying. The ones who lie awake at night, replaying the day in their heads, wondering if they said the wrong thing, if they're too hard or not present enough. The ones who are learning as they go, figuring it out one moment, one mistake, one hug at a time. And especially the ones who didn't grow up with the examples they needed, but have made a quiet promise to themselves that their children will experience something better. Parent will humble you in ways nothing else will. And I will stretch your patience. It will bring up memories you thought you had buried, and sometimes show you the little parts of yourself that are still healing. But it will also give you something incredible, powerful. The opportunity to do things differently. To pause when anger is easier, to listen when it would be quicker to dismiss, to hold your child in the ways you may have once needed to be held. And those moments may seem small, but they are not. Because every time you choose patience, every time you choose apology, every time you try again tomorrow, you are changing the story. You are showing your children that love can be gentle, that home can be safe, that mistakes don't end relationships. They teach us how to repair them. And the truth is, our children don't need perfect parents. They need present ones. They
Amen.
need parents who are willing to grow, to learn, and to keep showing up. So if you're listening today and wondering if you're doing enough, let me remind you of this. The very fact that you care this much already means you're doing something right. Because breaking cycles doesn't happen in one big moment. It happens in the everyday choices, in the patience you practice, in the love you show, in the story you are rewriting for the next generation. Your past may be part of who you once were, but it does not get to decide where your children are going. And that quiet decision you make every day to love better, to do better, to try again. That's how cycle ends. And that's one of the most powerful legacy a parent can live. So amigas, thank you for being here today. And until our next conversation, keep showing love, keep showing growth, and keep becoming the parent your younger self would be proud of. See you next Saturday, guys, here at our favorite hangout place, Kenneth Cobonpue BGC Showroom. Love you guys. Until next time. Bye-bye.